Hey guys, Jay here. Welcome to Models Memories Weekly, episode 276. Models Memories is a show about nothing and is filmed in front of a live studio audience. This is a show where we're talking about painting, modeling, and working experiences from the week. Now you might be thinking to yourself, Jay, you put out 3 videos a week. Ow! Could I possibly have more to say? Well, I do, and here it goes. This week, Games Workshop came out with an absolute glut of new miniatures for Warhammer, and in the very near future, we're going to be doing another AMA. We haven't done one in years in Ask Me Anything, and so if you want to have a question for the AMA, you can post it in the comments of this video, just saying AMA up front, and you can ask us anything about the channel or when Sean is going to be painting up his Baneblade, which has been sitting unfinished in this basement for years and years? When was that? It's been at least as long as the last time we did an AMA. Moving on to all the new exciting miniatures, we got some orc reveals. One that was revealed previously, the new orc war boss, which got accidentally leaked. I'm still very skeptical on if things accidentally leak from Games Workshop. Sometimes it seems like they do, and sometimes it seems like they probably leak it themselves because it does seem to work nicely into the Games Workshop release schedule. And also, how could just every single thing almost always gets leaked? It's a little hard to believe. But the big reveal was the new orc truck. A very big departure from the old truck. This thing could definitely hold 12 orc infantry models, but it does look really cool. It's chubby and chunky. It looks really, really nice. It's got a classic orc shooter. It's got the grabber claw. It has some sort of a buzzsaw. I don't see a wrecking ball, which is the classic orc vehicle weapon, which is really good. And so I would assume that that's gonna remain as part of the weapon loadouts, but I think this is just a really good design. It definitely looks a lot sturdier than the current orc truck, because actually the orc truck that exists right now, the older one, it holds up really well, but you never see one in person that doesn't have all the armor panels, the doors, and the weapons all snapped off because it's really, really fragile. I think this guy is gonna be much more robust, and it's not on a base. I really don't like it when Games Workshop puts their wheeled and tracked vehicles on bases, because it doesn't leave you any room to do anything interesting with the base design. Unless you have your vehicle popping like a crazy wheelie, you kind of just have to put texture on a completely flat base, and then you glue, you make it look good, and that takes some time because it's a big old, usually 120 millimeter base. But then you put on your sand, you paint it all nice, you put on your grass tufts, and then you clunk a vehicle on top, and that covers 99% of the base. It's just, I'm not a fan. Also, it's a little annoying for gameplay. I get hull measuring is its own host of problems, but I prefer, if you don't need to have a base, I prefer there to be no base. And this guy's got no base. Oh, there's also a mech, a new orc mech, which looks fantastic. I love the little crane, which it's on such a short arm. It's hard to believe that this helps him out much in doing his mechy work, but he does look really, really nice. And then of course, the war boss that's coming out soon. Just a big, impressive, tough orc with the squig, the attack squig, which is an extra attack weapon. He's got a ranged weapon, which is the combi. And the combi, it was pretty good in 8th edition, I think, when a combi weapon would just give you one shot of the other type of gun that is taped to this gun. And so you could have one round of really good plasma shooting or one round of really good flamethrowing. Where now the way that they do combi, where you get devastating wounds against something, or you can potentially have anti-something, which often you could sometimes stack into devastating wounds to do some shenanigans. But the orc shooting, it's never really where it's at. It's all about the close combat. And orc war bosses are pretty good in close combat. They give +1 to attacks for the squad that they're attached to. The orc war boss has his pop-off term during the WOG, where he can get 3 extra punches. That might be what the Space Marine Captain does, is 3 extra punches. The orc war boss might be 4. It's an impressive number of attacks. The orcs are looking pretty spicy in this upcoming edition of Warhammer 40,000, but something that is potentially even spicier, new Custodes. Custodes have been around in Warhammer 40,000 since 2015, I want to say. And they've been interesting because they existed in 30K, and then they came to 40K, and then they kind of got their own, they solidified in 40K, but now they're coming back to 30K, but they're also putting 40K on the boxes. So these Models can be used in either game system, but they are different. We've got a new Telemon Heavy Dreadnought, which looks pretty much just like the old Forge World Telemon Heavy Dreadnought. It looks absolutely fantastic. The Games Workshop paint job definitely makes it feel very busy, but I think if you just painted it a different way, it would actually feel very slick and smooth. It's got its giant missile rack on top, and then it's got its nice arm guns. Definitely going to be picking up one of these guys because I do want to do a Custodes army. They're looking a little bit more interesting in 11th edition than in 10th edition. I was really debating on starting a Custodes army in 10th edition, but they were so close combat focused, and I play Black Templars, which is close combat focused Space Marines, and so I didn't feel like I needed 2 heavy infantry close combat focused armies at once. But in 11th edition, it looks like the other aspects of the army are going to be a little bit more viable. And the thing that really knocked my socks off was the Grey Falcon jet bikes, the 30k jet bikes, which are very different from the 40k Dawn Eagle jet bikes. And I'm very torn. Because now, if you're a Custodes player in 40k, you kind of have the option. You can use the 30k bikes or you can use the 40k bikes. And I don't know which one I prefer. The 40k Dawn Eagle jet bikes are a little stubby and a little tubby, but the eagle on the front looks really good. And I also really like that the lance does stick out pretty far away from the bikes themselves, which makes sense. Like, if that's the weapon that they use, it does need to stick out further than the actual vehicle. And the Horus Heresy one, the lance is exactly as long as the front of the speeder, and so how much lancing can they possibly do? The 30k speeder, though, does look much more high-tech and much more elegant and streamlined. But the 40k one, I don't know, it's a little bit more rough and tumble. I think I'm leaning towards the 40k one, but the 30k one is really interesting. You got those big armor panels that are perfect for throwing a decal on there or some freehanding. The riders maybe look a little bit better. The Dawn Eagle jet bike is also an older kit, and the Custode riding on top of it. Also, I'm pretty sure, I don't have a Dawn Eagle jet bike set, but I'm pretty sure 2 of the bikes are mirrored. So you've got like 2 of the same rider, and then you've got 1 guy who's ever so slightly unique in the kits. I don't know, it's very tricky. I'm not sure which one I prefer. The 30k one does look to be a little bit bigger. I could go either way, but I feel like I wouldn't want to mix and match in my army because then it would feel like 2 very different units. The Dawn Eagle jetbike also has a really interesting weapon option between the grenade or the Stormbolter array. The Stormbolter array is probably not the one to get because everything in your army can throw out a whole bunch of really, really good strength 4, strength 5, a lot of attacks, really good AP, like damage. And so doing the grenades is probably the way to go, just to have a little bit of anti-tank in the army. But speaking of anti-tank, the Palace Grab Attack, the cute little version of the Custodes flyer vehicle, or I guess transport vehicle, hover vehicle. I guess in previous editions of 40k it'd be called a skimmer. But this guy is a cute little thing, a little bit reminiscent of the pod racers from Star Wars. I always thought the Custodes vehicles looked kind of weird. They're supposed to be the absolute pinnacle of technology, and I suppose that's why they look so different, but they also just look so different that they almost don't look 40k. It's a very weird design, but I think it works pretty well. Also, one thing I don't know, just in terms of the lore, is does a custodian actually pilot these things? It's a little bit of a problem for me in the lore when Space Marines pilot their own vehicles, because Space Marines are perfectly engineered to be warriors. When you're just holding the joystick of a vehicle, you're not, like, none of that super powerful strength is being utilized, so why not just have a regular ace human pilot do that, and then leave the Space Marines to do what Space Marines do best? And then Custodes are so unbelievably more perfect and powerful than a Space Marine. It seems crazy to leave one just piloting a tank. It seems a little silly, but maybe in the Custodes lore that they have some actual human crew members who pilot their vehicles. Also, vehicles usually take more than like 1 operator to function properly, and so you can't be wasting an entire crew of Custodes manning a tank. Lots of really big, interesting, exciting things coming for the Custodes. I now that there's the option, because I love the new 30k Custodes guys, but I think I like maybe some of the 30k or of the 40k Custodes units, except for the Land Raider. I love the idea of a Custodes Land Raider, but it can't just be the regular Land Raider painted gold. Like the classic Land Raider is not sleek and stylish and elegant enough to be an actual Custodes vehicle. I was very surprised to see some new Custodes hit the scene, but something that I was even more surprised by was the new Ogor Mawtribes. Ogor Mawtribes are getting a full-on range refresh, and they look so good. I got the Ogor Mawtribe Spearhead, and I painted it up. It's some of my favorite miniatures that I've ever painted. That Spearhead has won me a Spearhead tournament. It has won me a gold in a painting competition. I love those miniatures. I had so much fun painting them. They're big, they're chunky, there's so much room on there to do a really cool paint job. And now there are fully refreshed ogres, and I do think they all look exceptional. I really like this new helmet design, which comes down over their faces and then splashes out kind of over their shoulders. It just makes a lot of sense to protect their necks from any cleaving blows. And their big lead belcher belly armor, it all looks really, really good. But my original ogres turned out so good. I wouldn't want to, if I wanted to expand out that army, I wouldn't want to get these new guys who just don't match. And also the new Mournfangs, the Maul Beast Cavalry, they do look better than the Mournfangs in almost every way, but I like the original Mournfangs. I like the weird, like tusked beast cows that they're riding. They're amazing. I really like them. They're furry. They kind of give that Ice Age vibe, where the new guys are also really cool. And if I had seen these guys first, I would probably prefer them, but I didn't see them first. I saw the old ones and I kit bashed and converted and painted the old ones. And I really liked the old ones. I don't know, it's hard. I don't play a lot of Age of Sigmar, and I have a Sylvaneth army that is this close to being like ready to rock and roll in full games of Sigmar. So that would probably be the first thing on the chopping block, but it is really cool to see all of these new ogres done and made to look as good as they do in the illustrations of the Ogor Mawtribes. These guys are really, really cool. And those Maul Beasts are good. They are probably what the original guys should have looked like. They don't have as much fur as I would prefer. I guess you could just like sketch in the fur, where the old ones, the old Mournfangs, they had like really intense fur detail that was really tricky to paint. But I don't know, there's something about these new guys that just they don't scratch the same itch as those old guys. I didn't really have full plans to do an Ogor Mawtribes army. I just really liked my Spearhead. It got nerfed, and so it's less fun to play in games of Spearhead because it's really hard to win. Like more than half of the Spearhead only turns up in turn 3 onward, which makes it really hard to do a really good job scoring in the game. But these guys are really nice. And if there was a new Spearhead, which there will be because Spearhead, everything gets a Spearhead all the time from Age of Sigmar. It might be a little something to try again with Spearhead. I don't know. These guys are really, really cool. Probably, it's some of the oldest models that Games Workshop still has currently in the range. And then they've truly transformed with this new interpretation of them. Like, this is always kind of what the old models were meant to look like. Just the new changes in like manufacturing and just the ability to sculpt has gotten so much better that these guys are a lot more like sickening and disgusting and interesting looking. New Ogor Mawtribes. What a time to be alive. And speaking of what a time to be alive, towards the end of the Games Workshop Summer Reveal show, they were teasing the new Kill Team coming out. And so it starts, you see the Kill Team logo, and then you see the jungle, and then you see a little Indiana Jones looking guy. And so it's like, oh, Catachan. We're finally doing Catachan at long last. Huzzah. And then boom, it wasn't Catachan, it was Eldar Exodites. I really hope that Games Workshop was trolling, because everyone must have thought Catachan. But no, it's Eldar Exodites coming out of absolutely nowhere. the Eldar Exodites are so cool. It was so wild to see little old Eldar riding dinosaurs. And I haven't been playing a lot of Kill Team recently. I got super hardcore into Kill Team and I collected almost every single team for the game. But then when the new edition came out, I was playing a lot more 40k. And so I just kind of continued to play 40k. And so I'm not super pumped for Exodites in Kill Team, but they're for sure coming to 40k. And even in the Kill Team reveal teaser, they showed off that they can have the laser lances, which is the same weapon that the Eldar Shining Spears can take. And so if these guys are kind of just a very similar unit to the Shining Spears, I would be super into them. I want to start a Eldar army this year. Biel Tan, I think, is going to be my craft world. That's the like pale white armor with green accents and vines running all around their equipment and vehicles. And I think these guys would fit in so nicely, although technically Craft World Eldar and Exodite Eldar are different. The Exodite Eldar are those Eldar who escaped the downfall of the Eldar civilization by hiding on, what are they called? Essentially like utopian planets where they kind of live a little bit more of a primitive life than the classic Eldar. And that's why they ride dinosaurs. They don't have jet bike technology. Instead, they just ride giant lizards. And what giant lizards they are. They're very Velociraptor-y with kind of retro style faces. They have very like dark crystal little bird monster faces. And they do look really good. I would say the only thing that stands out to me a little bit is their armor is pretty classic Eldar. It would have been interesting to see maybe something a little bit more primitive, or at least something that looks a little different. But I think if you wanted to do Eldar Exodites, which I kind of do, I feel like just stealing from the elves from Age of Sigmar, the Lumineth Realm Lords, I feel like every single one of those bits would work really well for Exodites. Yeah, these guys are absolutely crazy. It's wild. I believe the only Exodite miniatures that ever existed were for Warhammer Epic. I think there was like a giant Brontosaurus rider, and that was about it, but they've always existed in the lore. They're a very weird little tiny page in the history of Warhammer 40,000, but now they exist in Warhammer 40k proper. Also, I feel like they would fit really well into a Yanid army, which are the followers of Yvraine. And I just read Lilith Hesperek's Queen of Knives, which was really, really good. And it kind of gets into some of the background lore of that faction. And so I do kind of like the idea. It's a little bit like the Farsight Enclave for the Tau. I do like the idea of all of the different Eldar kind of working together for the greater good, but not that greater good. Eldar Exodites are really exciting, and I'm definitely going to be picking those up a little bit later. And before I get to the last thing that I'll definitely be buying from this release, I'd love to tell you about all of the amazing hobby products available from EonsOfBattle.com. Over there, we're all restocking our excellent hobby goodies: Gamer Grass Tufts, Great Head Studio Bits for your Space Marines, Army Painter paints, brushes, basing cork, ultra thin and ultra thick super glue, and we've got terrain. It's the best way to support us doing what we do by getting a membership. Each month, members get a credit good for any one terrain pack I've ever made or the brand new one. This July, we have created the Bocage Battlefield Terrain, a series of pieces perfect for putting together a historic landscape for games like Conflict 47, Bolt Action, or any war zone with a labyrinth of overgrown hedgerows. These pieces will funnel your infantry into tight firefights while hiding the mysterious shack. Maybe it's just a utility building, or maybe it's an improvised encampment, hiding some flesh-eating zombies kept on ice for the right moment to unleash a devastating outbreak. This set was designed by us and is available at EonsOfBattle.com. New Necromunda Skirmish Core Set. I feel like it's weird that it says Skirmish specifically, because I always thought that Necromunda was a skirmish game, but this was an absolute blast from the past. I've always had my eye on Necromunda. I've only played a handful of games, but I have purchased at least like one copy of every single Escher unit the Games Workshop has ever made. Necromunda looks like so much fun. It is fun. I've played it. It's a good game. I really, really like the miniatures. And the thing that like made me pull the trigger on Necromunda was back in 2017 when the original Necromunda re-release came out, and it was Escher versus Goliath, and it had that amazing trailer where the narrator had like a thick Cockney accent, and it was really cool, and I immediately bought the box and then only played like 3 games over the course of years and years and years and years. But I'll definitely be getting this new box. I really hope that the rules get consolidated, because it seems like they're scattered to the four winds of books and cards and different websites that you have to download things from to actually be able to play a game. I really like Necromunda. It's a really, really cool thing. You can kind of kit bash and convert and do anything you want to make your crew because it's just your group of dudes. I actually have, do I have Necromunda Underhive? I have a video game of Necromunda and I played the first 10 minutes of it, which is like the little, they just throw you into the thick of it to teach you how the game works, and it was really fun. And then it got to an interactive menu and I couldn't figure out how to get through the interactive menu to do more missions. And so I only have 10 minutes in the game. But one day I'll make Sean or someone show me how to actually, like, what guy I need to talk to actually play the game. But Necromunda is so cool and it's so much fun. The new Escher miniatures look really good and they're gonna go really nicely with all of the Escher miniatures that I have. I have so many ideas of what I want to do for my matriarch, which is the leader of my Escher crew. It also comes with the Goliath, and if like my first crew is definitely going to be Escher, but then I think for the second crew and the loner crew, that's going to be Goliath. And there's some really, really fun, just big Bane looking guys in that set. Like they must be the most popular Necromunda factions for them to also be like once again resurrected to be the 2-player starter set for this force. But I'm more pumped than I should be for this Necromunda release, considering how little Necromunda I play. There's just not enough time in the day. If I could have like an extra day every single day, I could really get some good Warhammer done. But alas, I'll have to squeeze in a little bit of time here and there. Lots of really, really cool stuff coming soon to the world of Warhammer 40,000. Definitely gonna be getting some of those Custodes, definitely gonna be getting some Necromunda, and then down the line, I'll have to figure out how to do some Exodites. I kind of doubt that Games Workshop will do more Exodites. Maybe like just a regular squad of Exodite warriors would be pretty cool. Although there's already so many different things like Eldar Guardians, and there's so many just regular elf dude units for the Eldar, it's a little bit hard to believe that they need some more. But that's never stopped Games Workshop from adding more Space Marines, so maybe they will do it. I don't know, but I probably will be picking some up. Thanks for watching.